Hey guys, happy Saturday. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Ron and Ashley for a great Christmas movie countdown. We really appreciate everyone who's with us today for a great cause. Make sure to check us out online, pantry.wdwnt.com, to get all the information. And today we're going to be keeping you going, talking a little bit more about some Christmas specials, because why not? I mean, really, it's almost Christmas time. Everybody's put the turkey stuff away. It's time to talk Christmas, and I am so excited to be talking Christmas with my good friend Patrick Hackett. How are you, sir?
Rob, I am doing wonderful. How are you today?
Well, better now, man. Just that you're here. This is exciting stuff.
Thank you.
So one of the things that they're special to me about the holidays are Christmas specials, right? So everything that we grew up with was pretty much Rankin and Bass, Charlie Brown, The Grinch, all those old school greats that you would actually have to wait until they were going to play them on, like a Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, and you got to stay up late, and they'd run the little special logo, and you're like,
oh, that logo! I remember
right?
CBS's special logo. Yeah,
and it's like it's coming.
Give me goosebumps even thinking about it.
Yep, it's coming. It's like, oh boy, here comes Charlie Brown. And looking at those specials now, I mean, obviously, they're still very heartwarming. But like some of the stop action stuff from Rankin and Bass, it's a little bit slow. I mean, when I had kids and we were watching them, it's just like I was thinking to myself, please like this. I love this. Please like this. So Rudolph and Frosty and Frosty the Snowman too. There's so many different specials that Rankin and Bass did, and they kind of cornered the market on it, right? So then in 2009, it was at D23. John Lasseter, who was then in charge of animation for the company, stepped up on stage and said, hey, we've got this great new Disney animated special coming to ABC. And so it was weird to me that it wasn't Pixar, it was Disney, and that it was coming to ABC and not to like a movie theater or something. And so when you and I talked about what we would talk about today, you are as big a fan of this as I am, if not bigger, right? And what we've picked to talk about is what?
Prep and Landing.
I love Prep and Landing. And as a matter of fact, we'll talk about like Jingle Bell Jingle Bam maybe near the
Jingle Bam!
I get so roasted for liking that show at studios.
Why? It's so good. It was so good. Everybody's too critical.
I know, right?
Critical for that.
So, so basically, this is your typical like. This is your typical, hey, it's it's how Christmas happens, and it's like this mystery of like how do we get Santa Claus around the world in one night. Honestly, I don't think I ever asked that question as a kid. It was just something that I took for granted, but now here we are. We're talking about the Prep and Landing team that's out there. They come in, these little elves, it's so genius, and they set up everything for Santa, and when this thing first opens, you meet Lanny, who is like the big Prep and Landing guy, and he's just got it down, but he's been doing this for hundreds of years. And then he kind of gets a little bit like he's going to get a big promotion, and he goes in to get his promotion from McGee, and she has to tell him, nope, you're going to stay Prep and Landing. The guy that you have just trained, Peterson, to be like the best Prep and Landing guy he could be, is taking the job that you've wanted, which is the head of the naughty list. Tell me, let's back up a second. There's so many tellings of what we think happened with Santa and the elves, and they're always different, right? Some of the times that like the elves are small, sometimes they're regular, sometimes they're old as the hills, sometimes they're little kids. Like how does this mix in with you, and what are your feelings about it when you watch it?
I feel like it really did a good job of modernizing Santa for audiences, because we always picture the elves making little wooden horses or simple toys like blocks. This showed them making, more complex toys, and it showed them using technology. And I thought the whole idea of Prep and Landing in and of itself is a clever idea, and it's a spin on it that we've never seen before. It's really unique, and it's a fun story to tell.
Yeah, so, I've watched others, and there's, like, The Santa Claus, and that kind of brought it, like, modern day. And, the other thing about this one is it doesn't really focus on Santa. It focuses on the whole process, right? Like, we don't even really see Santa's face. It's really just about the process and these Prep and Landing guys. I just freaking love this episode. I just rewatched it again. I watch it every year. It's kind of like So after Halloween is over, and on Halloween night, I always watch Nightmare Before Christmas, one of my favorite holiday movies. I call it a
And
holiday
it's the
movie.
transition there. You
Yeah.
know, you get Halloween, you get Thanksgiving, you get a little bit of Christmas. That's a nice transition.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my tradition there. But when we're setting up the tree, it is always prep and landing now. And again, this came out in 2009. So this has been 11 years of tradition for me is watching this show. And so it's really about me, though. It's not about the kids or anybody else. It's about me because this is really my favorite Christmas special, I think. And, there's a lot of other things like Elf. Like Elf is the same thing, like you were talking about bringing it modern, or the Santa Claus. This one to me though, because it's 30 minutes and it's an easy watch, and it's got so much they pack in there. All the little jokes that
Yeah.
I love to see over and over again, and when they get Lanny and his new partner on like the last transport out, it's Thrasher. Thrasher
Yeah.
is like the best. He's there and he's like, "Oh, I thought you were a myth," and he goes, "I am a myth, and if you tell anybody, that I'm real, then I'm gonna end you." I mean, it's just, and he takes the candy cane, he crushes in his teeth, like little
Yep.
stuff like that is just so funny to me. And then they have this whole language they use because, they would obviously use North Pole slang, so. Um, so you got Wayne is the old school dude. I think I mixed that up. And then Lanny is the new guy that
Yeah.
he's training. And
Yep.
Lanny loves to say that's so tinsel. Which
Totally
I
tinsel.
need to get I need to get it into my vernacular on a regular basis so it just comes out like that.
I think those who were at Rex the Halls heard me say it a lot. As during the holiday season and after having a few beverages, I do like to proclaim that things are totally tinsel.
Yes, of course. I mean,
Why wouldn't you?
and it's like such a, I'm a positive guy, you're a positive guy. This is a great time of year. Like, again, there's COVID. It's awful. We hate it, but we're trying to do the best we can. And all these things that are like Disney, I mean, not Disney, but like traditions in our lives. And a lot of my traditions are Disney, but a lot of these
Mhm.
are traditions in our lives. And this tradition coming makes things feel more normal to me. The fact that I can put on this special and it takes me back to the very first time that I saw it. Tell me, who's your favorite character in this thing?
My favorite character in it is McGee. I love Sarah Chalk. I will never forgive her for what she did to Ted on How I Met Your Mother, but that's another story here or there. Dr. Elliot Reed is one of the best characters, and Sarah Chalk's tremendously talented. Everything she does, she's really good in. So McGee is by far my favorite character. I like the over caffeinated kind of ultra serious office manager type, and it's a fun little role, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And, she is also on Rick and Morty. She plays Beth. I mean, she seems to pop up everywhere. And yet, I bet that
Mhm.
unless you're a huge fan, you probably don't know who she is because she hasn't had
Yeah.
that huge, like, stardom. Like, she's never been, like, her own, like, star of a show.
Yeah,
She's
she
never
hasn't had
been.
a vehicle. Yeah.
Yeah. But she also started out her career, to my knowledge, her first role was being the other Becky on The Roseanne Show, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So she was the
I don't
second
remember if she
Becky.
was the first and she was the second.
She
Okay,
was the
yeah.
second Becky. So she's
Yeah,
not the
so
one
she
that's
has a
currently
long
on.
yeah, she is on the show now. Yeah.
Yeah.
She has a long history with Disney, and ABC. She's done a lot of stuff for them with Scrubs, and she's been part of the ABC family, not
Yeah.
the former network ABC family, for a long time.
Yeah. So for me, I think that probably my favorite character in this is the lead is Wayne because he's kind of like he's burnt out. He's been
Yeah.
doing the same job for over and over 100, 200 and well, here's the thing. He's been doing the job for 227 years. Now, first, when I hear that number, I think, why? That must mean something. Like, somebody didn't just pull that out of a hat, right? And
Hmm.
especially with creative people, they always love to put like, purposeful things in there. So I don't know what the 227 means other than it was like a Marla Gibbs TV show, 227. So I
Yeah.
don't know if that has anything to do with it. But, like, it was really interesting to me that he's been doing it for 227 years. It's very specific. So he's been doing it for forever, and he gets out there and he's just kind of like he just realized he didn't get this promotion. They go to the house that they're supposed to prep. It's Timmy's house, and Timmy
Timmy
is.
Terwilliger.
I thought it was like Twirlup or something like that.
Oh, it might be Twirl. I might have just supplanted Sideshow Bob's name on there.
Yeah, there you
Another
go.
famous Disney character.
Don't say that. So
Yeah.
they have they're setting up his house, and it's all the stuff like that you've seen early in the show. How they're just a machine when they go in and they open up the stockings, and they they blow air in them to make them open, and they
I
check
thought that was the
everything.
coolest thing.
Well,
The
all of
the
their
little canned
devices.
air. Yeah.
But that device in particular, you see him used in a different way on this one because he comes in and he's like, yeah, you know what, you can go solo. The Lanny's call sign is Tree Skirt. You can go solo, Tree Skirt. And he's like, oh, my first mission. And he's like, oh, you can handle it, can't you? And he's like, oh yeah, yeah, I got you. And he's like, I'm gonna go upstairs. So then Wayne decides that he's just gonna have himself a little party. He makes some like hot cocoa. He uses that gun to like froth it up, and then he
Yeah.
flips it over and drops cinnamon in it, and it's just like you're a genius, man. This is awesome. And then he sits down in the chair and he's using all of his tools that he normally would to like set up the house to make himself comfortable. He's eating Santa's cookies. He's watching a Christmas special, which a great Easter egg is it's actually Mickey's Christmas Carol that he goes to
Yep.
first. And the
Yep.
actual animation, it's great. And again, Ron and Ashley just talked about this being their like one of their favorite tellings of the story. But it's really cool that he goes in and he watches that and he looks at the little Santa cookie next to him that he's using like Santa effigy and says to him, "Oh, do you like Christmas specials?" He's like, "Aw," and he turns it off and then he goes to another one. He's like, another one and another one. So he's having himself a good time, and then all of a sudden, one of his devices goes off and says, "There's a creature stirring," and here comes
Yeah.
Timmy.
Yeah.
It's
And
it's
Timmy
every
with the first camera. Like I remember having like that little play school camera. Like it's really cool.
and it's his first um screw up basically where he
Yeah,
is
ever.
yeah he is screwed up. It's the first time this has happened to him. He's freaking out. He's now he's in trouble, but he still at this point hasn't changed his mind. He's still burnt out. At this point he's just upset that he's gotten caught.
Yeah.
Timmy takes a picture of him. Lanny comes down, sees him. They drug the kid, which of course is what you would do, right? They drug him. They slip him a roofie, and then they drag him up to his bed. I mean, let's say it that way.
Well,
So it sounds super weird.
Lanny insists that they bring him because all creatures must be nestled snug in their beds. So he had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." Yeah, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments filled with sleeping dust in a machine gun, and it's just the coal elves just rapid fire, just
Yeah.
putting kids and dogs out. Have those ornaments filled with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." Yeah, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments filled with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." Yeah, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments filled with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." Yeah, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments filled with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." Yeah, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments filled with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." Yeah, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments filled with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." Yeah, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments filled with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." Yeah, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments filled with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." Yeah, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments filled with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." Yeah, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments filled with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." Yeah, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments filled with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." They, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments full with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." They, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments full with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." They, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments full with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." They, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments full with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." They, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments full with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." They, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments full with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." They, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments full with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." They, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments full with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." They, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments full with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." They, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments full with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." They, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments full with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." They, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments full with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." They, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those ornaments full with sleep. He had to go to bed, and Wayne was just like, "Yeah, let's just leave him on the floor. Fine." They, when we get into prep and blanding, they have those time it like
Last
goes
time was
all
a
around.
complete nightmare, my friend. This time we're
Yeah.
doing a little better.
Okay, that's good.
Um, I'm. Boop. All right, you're gonna need to adjust your camera up a little bit because I'm gonna put a lower third for the pantry underneath you.
All right. Let me see if I can go. How's that?
Can you see you?
No, I can't see me. Hang on.
Oh,
Oh yeah, I'm good.
okay, cool. Just on the two that's you and me, I'm gonna do that just so we get additional like
Yep.
attention for it. So please stand by. I still see. How about you?
Mm. I usually pause the YouTube.
Really
Yeah.
interesting. Oh, by the way, I made that please stand by like forever ago.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's actually really nice.
got little mouse ears on it, and then I have like the the WDWNT globe in the lower, and then I feel like I did something else that I thought was entertaining to me. I can't remember what. I just
Right,
show up and
you know.
talk. Yep, that's what you do.
Yep. That's what I do now.
So. Mm, 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 mm. Jason said we came
Something
back.
else. Oh, we're back?
Maybe.
Hello?
Do. Jason said we
Something
came back.
else. Oh, we're back?
Maybe.
Hello?
Do.
We're going to get flagged for copyright for singing clocks. Oh, hey! Oh.
There he is. There's
Hey!
the fella. There's our fella.
What's going on?
Ah, fantastic. Well, this is, the bad part is this is never usable again now, but at least we're back, right?
No, yeah, it's never usable. You guys missed hours of gold where we
Oh my gosh.
somehow tied Prep and Landing to the greatest film ever made, Citizen Kane, which actually
Yeah.
it is tied to it. But,
Yeah.
that's...
Yeah.
And then we made a case that it should have won 3 Academy Awards, but, it's all gone now. It's gone.
It's gone forever. Like, it's not going to be
Yeah.
recorded anywhere. That's crazy. So
We're just going to leave them on the floor.
look at you being the new meme. Leave him on the floor. That's
Yes.
so good. So we are sorry for the technical difficulties. I literally have never seen that happen before. But thank you, Jason and Kevin, for jumping in and helping behind the scenes figure that out. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. So we're back. We're talking about Prep and Landing. When we last left, we left Timmy on the floor. Leave him on the floor.
Leave him on the floor. Hashtag leave him on the floor.
Yeah, it's all good. So we're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do. Is they drug children and they drag them to their beds. We're gonna put that to music. It'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do, is they drug children, and they drag them to the beds. Yeah, we're going to put that to music, it'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do, is they drug children, and they drag them to the beds. Yeah, we're going to put that to music, it'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do, is they drug children, and they drag them to the beds. Yeah, we're going to put that to music, it'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do, is they drug children, and they drag them to the beds. Yeah, we're going to put that to music, it'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do, is they drug children, and they drag them to the beds. Yeah, we're going to put that to music, it'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do, is they drug children, and they drag them to the beds. Yeah, we're going to put that to music, it'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do, is they drug children, and they drag them to the beds. Yeah, we're going to put that to music, it'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do, is they drug children, and they drag them to the beds. Yeah, we're going to put that to music, it'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do, is they drug children, and they drag them to the beds. Yeah, we're going to put that to music, it'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was drugged, which is what elves do, is they drug children, and they drag them to the beds. Yeah, we're going to put that to music, it'll be fine. So we left Timmy on the floor because he was oh, I've got the ultimate. You ready for this? I met
Yeah.
and interviewed Julie Andrews, and don't have a copy of the interview, and I don't have a copy of the picture that we took together because it got corrupt. And so I have the only proof I have is a book. So
The when we went to Comic-Con where Daredevil was getting the first trailer, Marvel Security deleted every single interview we did from Comic-Con because Ron had the recorder up during the panel.
hey, look, we're back.
Oh, hey! Oh, that's a hell of a time to come back to.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So like I was just
frostbite.
I mean, I mean, we were gone for a minute there. Like I'm looking at the stream now and realizing that we were just like screwing up. Pretend nothing happened. Pure gold. Someone has to do something with that. Yeah, no, come on. That was like 100 times better than Peekle, right? I mean, come on. That should go in the Hall of Fame.
They left Timmy on the floor. They drugged the children because that's what elves do.
Hey, Judy, it says if Rob is having these problems now, what about Park Center? This is not me. This is not me. This is like we're good on our end from a technical standpoint. The problem is we are trying to run like a whole bunch of shows together at the same time. So you know what? Park Center may be an adventure tonight. Who knows? Tune in at 9 o'clock and find out. But we're just glad that you guys are holding on, and you know we've lost a little bit. We've lost a few people, but thank you guys who hung in about drugging kids and leaving them on the floor. I'm afraid to say anything else now. I'm afraid to say anything else now because yeah. So anyway,
so we left off not knowing if Santa knows that the figgy pudding is eventually going to turn out okay. So we were going back and forth on that when we started looping. I think, you know, if you want to weigh in the chat, like, do you think Santa knew that figgy pudding was going to turn out okay, which is why there's never been a figgy pudding?
Yeah. You know what? Again, I don't know. He seems to know everything. Stop it, Paul. This is horrible. This is crazy. I'm looking at the chat now. There's things being said. So anyway, Wayne has now been reinvigorated. He wants to fix this mistake. He's like, hey, McGee, call the big guy. Tell him or patch me through the big guy. She's like, I'm not going to do that, Wayne. And he says, do it, or I will tell everyone about you and Tiny. And then Tiny's hat just goes like this, straight up, like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I would love to know that story. I mean, there
I
were
know.
some like little offshoots of this episode where they kind of, ran some shorts about Tiny and McGee, but it wasn't about this. And sounds like there's a really good story there for maybe like a Disney After Hours. So then, I mean, we've already thrown decency out the window here anyway. So then he puts him through to the big guy, and he says, I need you to come to this house. And he's like, oh, McGee's already rerouted me. He's like, I can land you safely. I need you to be here. There's a kid that's counting on you. And he says, I hoped you would say that. And they turn around. So, meanwhile, I love the reindeer. The reindeer, like Dasher
The
and
reindeer
Dancer.
are great.
Yeah. But Dasher and Dancer are the stars, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, Thrasher that we mentioned before is really great, too.
What you're going to say?
I like when we deal with the reindeers and we don't reindeer, just one reindeer, plural, and we don't have Rudolph. I feel like Rudolph is always a big show stealer, and we got to see a little bit more of the other reindeer and their personality in this. I liked it.
Yep. No, I agree. And so we're some of the scenes with them, like where like Dancer's yelling, "We're in the soup," or like how are we going to do it? And then he says, laughing all the way, my friend, laughing all the way. And it's just like these little liners. And then my favorite is when they're coming to the house. They can't see. The storm is awful. Lanny and Wayne are trying to set up their normal prep and landing routine, and the runway blows away. So they need to find some way to fix it. So they send out this thing they put everything out, it doesn't work, so they see Christmas lights across the way, and they go and they steal all the Christmas lights, which again, very Christmassy. They take all the Christmas lights, they put them over on the house, and they're like, okay, Santa, we got your landing strip here. And so the reindeer are coming in, and a Dancer yells, cut the engines, and they put their legs up.
And that cracks me up every time.
Right? That is so good. I mean, they must have had so much fun making this documentary about the elves, because I assume it's all real.
Absolutely. I mean, Disney gets that extra look behind the curtain, and they portray Santa in a fantastic light in this.
Yeah.
The elves, not so much, as we've covered before. Drug children, leave them on the floor, worried about looping again.
Yeah. Exactly. So now I'm paranoid that we're going to be looping at some point again here, but it's fine. So then
Live in fear.
So then Santa lands. They make it safely onto the roof, just barely, and then they kind of like, okay, good, we did it. And you don't really see what happens, but they cut to like 9 a.m. the next morning, Christmas Day. A lot of the Christmas movies we see talk about this legendary like day of celebration that they all have, where they all get together and they're like so excited that Christmas has been completed. It's almost like now they're like in celebration mode. Some tellings of the story have Santa going off someplace tropical afterwards with Mrs. Claus. Some tellings of it just have like in the movie Elf, where they're like, hey, we did it, yay, now get to work for next year, yay, and they go in and do that.
I just rewatched Elf, and I was so put off by that. I was like, wait, I get it, they love their work, but come on, man, like Santa, Ed Asner, give him a break.
Yeah. I mean, and it's one of those things where in this one they're having the celebration, and when they're having their big celebration, they're all partying down, and then Wayne goes to see the big guy, and he walks into his office, and it's like, hey, sorry I screwed up. I don't blame you if you're going to fire me. And he's like, oh, I wouldn't, like you mentioned earlier, I wouldn't bite your head off, Wayne. And so he's like, oh, he knows about the cookie. He knows about everything. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake.
He knows when you're drugging children and leaving them on the floor.
I mean, it seems to
I'm
be
not going to stop.
It seems to be standard operating procedure for them anyway. I mean,
it really does.
They've got the equipment. You've got to assume there's going to be a bad seed somewhere who's going to use it for not so good.
I think
anyway,
we'll get to that, won't we?
Oh, we will. So they go in and have this talk, and he's like, hey, here's a snow globe so you can see Timmy, which again feels very Santa Claus-ish.
Yep.
like where he's, he tells Charlie, shake it anytime you want to see me. And so he sees Timmy and he's getting his bike and he's having a great Christmas and he knows it was all worth it. And he apparently offers him a job, which he turns down because he's a prep and landing guy, and it's all merry and bright. And it's just, to me, this is such a great special. 30 minutes of just pure joy.
Yeah.
It's got everything into it. And like you said, it kind of brings it into the modern day, right?
Yeah.
So is this in your top 5 holiday classic episodes?
Well, I was really having a couple crappy days, and it was the first thing I turned to get me in the holiday spirit. It is a must-watch, and probably a must-watch multiple times over the holidays. It's a quick 22 minutes. You get in, you get out, and it usually, makes you feel totally tinsel.
So, great Garland. I'm glad you said that. So one of the things for me is, like, again, like I said, this is like now my launch episode of TV every year is to watch this special. So it's on Disney Plus now. I think it wasn't for a little while, and now it is on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It's actually one of those things when you go to the menu to find Christmas stuff, it's going to be one of the first things you see. So, I mean, we would definitely, I think the both of us are just like, you've got to see this special if you haven't seen it already. And I know we've talked about it and kind of given spoilers, but it's just so charming and so amazing. And you really, if you haven't seen it, it should be part of your holiday tradition. That said, a couple years later, they come back again and, like, boom, they got a sequel, which we were going to talk about as well, called what?
Prep and Landing, Naughty versus Nice.
Naughty versus Nice. It's like the Eric Morton death match, but it's really kind of a cool story, and you see it, and it kind of picks up where the first one left off.
Yep.
Wayne and Lanny are now big cheeses, and I mean they've been working together for a while, and they're doing the prep and landing thing. And Wayne wants to buy this brand new car. And I really kind of like the car he had in the first episode, so I don't really know why he needs a new one.
I feel like he bought the first car and had to return it. That's what in my head canon it is, because he didn't get the position.
Right.
So he returned that first car and was like, all right, finally I deserve this car now.
Yeah. So then there's some shenanigans that happen here. And by the way, the voices in the first one, you got Dave Foley as Wayne, which was awesome because he's also Flick, and he's also one of the kids in the hall. I mean, he's kind of become sort of I'm crushing your head, crush. He's one of those guys who's been around with ABC. He was on The Middle. He shows up here and there. I mean, I love Dave Foley. To me, he's like kind of like the big kids in the hall guy. Like Kevin McDonald obviously did some Pleakley work with Stitch, Lilo and Stitch.
Yep.
So I mean, there's some of these guys that already have ties anyway. It was, if you've never seen Kids in the Hall, it was a Canadian sketch comedy team. It's definitely worth going back and looking at some of that stuff because it was very.
It is completely bonkers.
Yeah, it's very off the wall funny. So seeing these guys, and you see it all the time. Like Eddie Murphy was like hardcore comedian, and then he comes in, he's doing family movies. These guys were like just these really edgy sketch comedy guys, and now they're kind of all like incorporated into the Disney family and in different places. So it was really neat to have Dave Foley in this. Sarah Chalke you talked about, and then you have I was trying to think who
Rob
was
Riggle?
it? No, okay. So in this new one, we've added Rob Riggle and Chris Parnell.
Yeah.
So Chris Parnell again, Rick and Morty. So you got Jerry and Beth together here. So it's really the story of like there is a naughty kid out there who has stolen one of their devices, and we talked about the devices, how cool they are, the ones that can tell if there's creatures stirring or like what kind of a gift and how much of the tree do I cut off. And so they have this device in their hands. The coal elves have come to visit this house. They see that it's a naughty house. They've done their prep work as well. See that it's a naughty house, and they have this device, and the kid in the house takes the device, and then now the elves are like they're kind of lost because this device has been lost, and now this kid is apparently a hacker who has hacked into the system to change
elite hacker.
Yeah, to change the system using this device to make them on the nice list instead of the naughty list. That's kind of like that's kind of like a story. Like in the first one,
our inciting incident, if you will.
Yeah, and in the first one, it was just one basic story. In this one, you've got this story going on, and then you've got the secondary story where once they figure out that this has happened, they're going to send Wayne and Lanny to fix it, but they also need to send a coal elf, but you don't
Hmm.
know who it is until they meet them, and it's supposed to be the best coal elf ever, and you find out that it's Wayne's brother, and played brilliantly by Rob Riggle, who has coined the best phrase ever, which is
Bam!
"Jingle Bam." Yeah, so
Jingle bam!
Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam. Even though it has like Lanny Wayne, it's really based like I mean that phrase comes from this episode. So
Yep.
like I think they did a great job with a follow up episode here, don't you?
I think it was a great follow up. Who really knew that there was more stories to tell in that universe? You know, you kind of got what you were getting with that, and they found a whole new route, and they took it to make it kind of a family story. And now, like naughty kids who deserve redemption, it's cute. It's really well done.
Yeah. So I mean, as this goes along, you find out that why am I blanking? What is Rob Riggle's character's name?
No,
No. So Noel is like he's the baby brother, but he's so much bigger than Wayne. And
yeah,
apparently they have like Noel doesn't know it, but apparently there's animosity between the two. When Noel drives in for the first time, he's bringing the car that Wayne had wanted. He drove it in. He's like, "Oh, look at my new car," and so they're kind of like many siblings are, and there's a rivalry between the two of them.
hmm
But Wayne sees it, I think, as a lot darker. It's a lot harder for Wayne to come to grips with the fact that his brother seems to be can do no wrong. Everybody loves him. He's a fun guy. And one of the first things that we see an interaction when they all go to get on Thrasher to go to find this kid is that they go in to see Thrasher, and Wayne's like, "Oh, you got to be really cool with him." And so they walk in there, and Noel just like starts to attack Thrasher,
yeah.
like verbally attack him, and then you find out that they're really good friends.
He
Um,
had like a box of Cuban candy
Candy
canes to
canes,
give him, which I thought was really a cute
yeah,
touch.
yeah, and so again, all these things, Wayne is not very liked, and you've got all this love for Noel, so he's got even more rivalry going. Meanwhile, they go off to find this kid, and then there's a big reveal. So if you haven't seen this episode, spoiler, it's really a little girl, and I think that they try to make it seem like it's a little boy, but it's a little girl, and they're like, what's happening here? Why are you evil? And you find out that the little girl has a little baby brother, and the baby brother gets her in trouble all the time. So she
Hmm.
has gotten on the naughty list and shouldn't be, which I feel like is a clerical error that normally Santa wouldn't have.
Yeah, that goes back to the whole figgy pudding thing. Does Santa actually know what's going on? Is because this girl's a pretty good kid. I mean, she does try to hack the entire North Pole and put everybody on the naughty list, but they should know who's doing those actions. That it's the little kid and not her.
Yeah, no, I agree, and so that's a plot hole for me. But again, we trudge on. She kidnaps Lanny, ties him up with like tape on the back of the door, very strange, and then uses
Lanny, who accidentally drugged himself because she had the helmet on,
and
and so
it's
now
what
he's feeling the effects.
yeah, and it's what elves do. So
And at least she didn't leave him on the floor. He's taped on the wall.
yes, exactly, exactly. We need to keep coming back to that because clearly that was the high point of this show.
Good.
So
Yep.
so then there's this thing where they find out what's been happening. Meanwhile, she has accidentally put a virus into the Santa system, and Chris Parnell, who apparently is the head of the the digital team there at the North Pole, like technology, doesn't know what's happening. All of the kids are now going to be on the naughty list. Its production is stopped. The world's falling apart. The North Pole doesn't know what to do, and it's all because this little girl wanted to get off the naughty list and be on the nice list. So it's up to Wayne and Noel. There was a little car that he had. Noel had as a gift to give to
Captain Avalanche.
yeah, so they used to love to play superheroes as a kid. There was a little car. He was going to give it to his big brother, and you find out that Wayne's been harboring all these feelings against his brother for so long, and now he feels bad about it again. Again, it's about Wayne's journey, just like the first episode. It's
Yeah.
about Wayne's journey, and so he has yet one more hurdle to overcome, and it's the fact that his big brother, his baby brother, is really looks up to him, even though he is jealous of everything that his brother has. So they decide to pull together. They're going to resolve their differences, and they're going to save Christmas. And they have to get to the top of a radio tower to be able to broadcast the signal to reverse the problem. And they do, and they get up there and they reverse the problem, and everybody's happy and peppy and bursting with love, and they've saved Christmas once again. So, basically, all things Christmas catastrophe related happen because of Wayne and are solved because of Wayne. Is that what you're getting from this?
I feel like Wayne is a much larger portion of all of our lives than we're ready to admit right now. I think we all have a little Wayne in us. I think Wayne teaches valuable lessons. Maybe we should become millionaires and write the Tao of Wayne, like they did the Tao of Pooh. But yeah, Wayne is a great character. Obviously, well voiced, as we talked about before, by Dave Foley. Rob Riggle is just an amazing addition to anything. He made watching people play mini golf entertaining. He is tremendously talented, and Jingle Bam becoming a show at Hollywood Studios just shows how important and how much reach these shorts had.
All right, so let's talk about that. Disney has a lot of Christmas IP now. I think that, obviously with the Fox merger, they've picked up Home Alone. They've picked up, some other like holiday IP. But beforehand, they didn't really have a lot of holiday IP. You had Mickey's Christmas Carol.
The Muppet Christmas Carol.
The Muppet Christmas Carol.
Which is the best version of the Christmas Carol.
I don't disagree. As a matter of fact, Jill and I did a Deep in the Plus last year on that one, and we were, we kind of picked it out as the best telling of the Christmas Carol. So, because that's a story that's told over and over and over again, and here we have two new stories, but that story, I think, is told best by the Muppets. I don't know whether it's because it's more tongue-in-cheek, or why it's more entertaining to me, or the music of Paul Williams, or whatever, but I really am a fan of that one, and again, we go deep in the plus with that one if you want to check it out on YouTube. So, here's my thing about about the IP itself, is that this is a perfect IP for Christmas. It's great. It has these cute little elves, has a great story, it's a great family story, but it's still a little bit edgy, and so it's not your dad's Christmas story. It's it's something that's like more tangible to today's audience. It was the perfect overlay for this, and I've done the Jingle Bell Jingle Bam dessert party twice because I love this event so much, but I didn't know I was supposed to hate it until I came on with this blog. So, so now, we're talking about it, and I actually said something about it, I think, on last week's Park Center, and, was like, ooh, don't hate me because I like this. I really enjoy that show. I like the projections. It's one of the early projection mapping shows that they had.
Yeah.
Fireworks, the music going into Nightmare Before Christmas, because you have, they're looking for Santa, and you've got, the Oogie Boogies, there, and you've got this, this Christmas, and then they show some of the, like, the classic Disney cartoons. It's just, to me, it's a really fun show, and you've seen it.
Yeah. I don't recall if I saw it in person, but I've watched the video and really enjoyed it. The problem is, as soon as we mentioned it, somebody said it in the chat, is that Osborne was better. Nobody's denying that. Nobody wanted to see Osborne go. If you go and watch the Osborne Back to the Future, like, you can actually see me and Ashley watching it and tearing up because it meant so much to us emotionally. But it was just a great show, and this was a fun replacement. It's completely different than the Osbournes, and it was a fun replacement, like you said, great projections, good fireworks. I think Hollywood Studios gets a lot of guff for some of its fireworks shows that it doesn't need to, because I think they pale into comparison a little bit to what you get at Magic Kingdom, what you get at Epcot. I've always enjoyed the nighttime shows at Hollywood Studios. I like the way they incorporate the Chinese theater in it. And I like that they used a more modern property instead of always throwing it back. Like, it's not a classic. This is a late 2000s, early 2010s, and it's a good addition. I hope to get back and see it again someday soon. When you're talking about Christmas specials, though, and you're talking about Disney Christmas specials, you got to talk about Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. Although it's Jim Henson, not technically Disney at that point in time. but that
Do they
is
do they have the
my
rights
number
to
one
it though?
go-to.
Do they have
I
the
don't
rights
know.
to
You
it?
would think it would be on it would be on Disney Plus. I haven't seen
I'm
it.
not 100% sure they have the rights to that because they only got rights to certain things because the Jim Henson, like Brian and his mom broke up the company basically. So they don't have access to everything.
Yeah.
Just because it was a Muppet thing, like they don't have access to Sesame Street and they don't have access to some
Yep.
of the other stuff. So I'm not 100% sure they have access, but I do love Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas, and I think music was also done by Paul Williams for that one.
Yep.
That was such a good story. It had like a little gift of the Magi worked into it. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, it's really. I agree. It's a well done one, but I don't know that they have access to it. I'd have to. We'll
Yeah.
have to go to legal counsel with Ron and find out what the truth is with
That's
that.
that's what I usually go to. Is I ask Ron if
Yeah.
he's read the contract, and usually he does. Jingle, Prep and Landing, Naughty versus Nice. So I would like to see a trilogy. I'd like to see another story. I feel like there's something else they could do here. I don't want them to overkill it, but I think there's room for another story.
Yeah. Well, and there's been two little like we talked about before we came
Good little.
on. Yeah, that there have been a couple shorts about it. The one with Tiny is very funny, and I believe that material might be on Disney Plus. I don't know for sure. I know that they released a Blu-ray that had both the specials and the shorts on it. So it is, it's definitely IP that exists out there, but it's a fun thing. I love it. I love I'd love to see it infused a little bit more even into what they do at the holidays. I agree with you. Osborne can't be replaced, but this
No.
was not an Osborne replacement. Really, I guess it was kind of a little bit to say, hey,
Yeah.
let's do more holiday stuff there to make up for it. But for me personally, if I had to have Osborne Lights or if I had to have Galaxy's Edge, I would choose Galaxy's Edge. But I do know that around the holidays, it was the most amazing spectacle that I have ever seen, and I do love Christmas and Christmas. All these Christmas things that they have now are good, but that was just one. You just were immersed in the Osborne Lights. Now they have
Yeah.
Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam. They have Sunset Season's Greetings. They have like the whole stuff about around Echo Lake. There's a lot of stuff there. It is kind of the Christmas park in a lot of ways. So
Yeah.
it's great to have it, but yeah, the Osborne Family Lights will always be one of those things that we wish we had back in some way, shape, or form.
And speaking of that, they did a great thing and gave a lot of those lights to Give Kids the World Village, which
Yeah.
is an amazing charity. Another amazing charity is the Cast Member Pantry. The Cast Member Pantry is providing food and other items of need to cast members who have been laid off. They started with Walt Disney World. They've now reached out to Disneyland. Usually, this is a Toys for Tots marathon, but as Rob's fantastically designed shirt said, that cast members are the real magic. Cast members are the ones out there making magic for you day in and day out. They take a ton of crap from guests, and they're always there giving it their all. And the amount that have been laid off is absurd. So Cast Members Pantry is doing a great job, and we are raising money for them. And while we were on the air, we had 3 donations. So thank you to William Mullins, Carmine Torchetti, and Andrea Urban, who donated. We are about $3,000 from our goal with a few days left to go, a day and a half. And you can see the link right here. Donate now. Oh, it's too high. There it goes. Donate now. Pantry.WDWNT.com. We don't touch any of this money. It all goes to them. You can cover your credit card fees with a donation. I'm always happy to do stuff during this time of year and help raise money. It's sad that it's the cause that we're doing right now, but I couldn't think of doing it for anyone else than helping out these cast members who need assistance during this time.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, thank you to everyone who's donated. Don't forget there is an auction tomorrow that ends tomorrow night. You can check that out on our website as well. And thank you to everyone who bought one of the cast member shirts. We were so very excited about how quickly that they sold out. And I think it was probably because it was, it's a cause that means something so much to everybody. So carouselproducts.com, we sold them out so quickly yesterday, but we're gonna try and see if we can come up with something else for you guys to also be able to give back to the Cast Pantry at a later date. So thank you guys for everything that you've given so far. Patrick, I'm gonna ask you one last question because I feel like every episode of Deep in the Plus we do, I always ask this question: would you recommend these specials?
Absolutely. I would not only recommend, I would say, when you're not watching our stream, you should go and watch it. Or, you have the stream on in the background, keep our numbers up. That's important. But go watch Prep and Landing and Prep and Landing Naughty versus Nice. They're good specials, and it gets you really into the holiday spirit.
Yeah, and obviously I agree that these are some of my favorites. I usually watch them back to back every year,
Yeah.
and they're really strong, and we were really excited to be able to talk about them today. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but apparently it was the best part of the show. So thank you for that.
What's that say about us?
I know, right? And so don't forget, Patrick, you're going to be bringing back for this very special occasion Around the Hub,
Yep.
and that is tonight.
Yeah, tonight, 11 p.m., we're doing Around the Hub with four WIGS. Four WIGS were kind enough to donate and got their spot on the Around the Hub panel. So 11 p.m. tonight, we'll be joining you with Around the Hub.
Awesome. I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you so much. Good luck with Around the Hub. Thank you for, as always, for
All
being
right.
here with me. I know you got to go, and
Yeah.
we'll be bringing on somebody else here in a second. So thanks, Patrick.
I'm really jealous because I also like this movie, but I picked Prep and Landing so we could keep it short. I think Noelle is underrated, so enjoy, and I'll be watching.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, my friend.
Thank
All
you.
right. So again, just to make sure, donate to the Cast Pantry, pantry.wdwnt.com. We're going to do a quick commercial, and we will be back with Eric Wolf talking about Noelle. So we will talk to you soon.
Disney does everything on time. Disney does everything on time. Disney does everything on time.
Hey Google, living room lights on. Hey Google,
All right. Thank you guys so much again for sticking with us for this 65-hour marathon to benefit the Cast Pantry, a great cause. We hope that you will be able to give. And so while we are, on the air, please make sure to visit pantry.wdwnt.com. Anything that you can do is appreciated. We are very passionate about this, about our cast members, about the magic that they bring. And so we thank you for anything that you can do. So to continue the entertainment, we have a very special guest with us right from Orlando in the WDWNT studios is Mr. Eric Wolf. How are you, sir?
hey, I'm doing good. Let me get my camera straight. There we go.
Yes, please make sure the camera is straight at all times. No eating, drinking, or smoking during the show. And please make
inside.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, please watch your head and lower your step. So Eric, thank you so much for doing this. I know you got Geekly Kingdom coming up next after this, so I really appreciate you jumping in and doing Deep in the Plus with me. I know that you are a fellow movie buff, and
Yeah.
I do know that this particular movie we're talking about, Noelle, you actually reviewed when Disney Plus launched, right?
Correct. I was actually able to go see Noelle at Disney Springs with the Disney Parks blog. So I got to see it then. I still watch it. I watched it not only because we had to review it, but I watched it a couple weeks ago as well. Because I actually do honestly like the movie, but we'll talk about that more.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is one of the launch titles for Disney Plus. There were not a lot of things that came from the beginning, but like Mandalorian was one, and then they had several shows that launched. High School Musical, the musical, the series, as we've talked about. We kind of both like quietly fan over that one. And then you've got this original movie there was also Lady and the Tramp also launched with this. But
Correct, yeah.
it was great timing. It was November 12th. We were originally going to do a panel discussion about the first year of Disney Plus, but we decided to change gears, talk specifically about holiday movies because we're trying to get everybody in the holiday season. So with this, we've got Noelle was like the very first Disney Plus movie, and I'm thinking that this could become kind of like, I don't know, like a must-do holiday watch. But one of the things that happens with this one, and I think that you've talked a little bit about this before, is that it almost feels like a continuation of the Santa Claus.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Santa Claus, and after watching this movie, I was like, wow, this could have honestly have been just Santa Claus 4, especially for the fact that Santa Claus 3, we know that Charlie gets a brother, so we could have been able to play a little bit with that, but yeah, oh gosh, could have been.
Yeah. So one of the things then, like, about this is that it starts in the North Pole, and we just got done talking about prep and landing, and so that's one telling of like how Christmas can work. This is another telling of it. It's not that Santa has been around forever, but that he is a generational thing, and it gets passed on through the Kringle family. And tragically in this one, it kind of starts out a little bit like Santa dies.
Yeah, just right off the bat.
That's a hard way to start a Christmas special, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, again, it kind of happens in the Santa Claus, so it is a little bit on par with that. But you've got another issue with it where Bill Hader, who plays Nick, does not want to be Santa. And then his sister Noelle is like loves everything about Christmas. He's like, I'm not really feeling Christmas, if that makes sense. So it's really kind of this hard issue that Nick doesn't want to be Santa. And so Santa has died. They're trying to get Nick all like queued up to be the next Santa, and clearly he's having problems. I just, it's one of those where you're like, here's the dilemma, is that we're looking for Santa Claus, and it always comes down to the wire, doesn't it? It's always 2 weeks before Christmas, 1 week before Christmas, Christmas Day. It's all going to get ruined. It's all down to the wire. It doesn't happen in the summer when they got time to workshop something, right? It's always It's always right here at the end. So with Noelle, she's trying to like be the like the one to lift up her brother and get him all trained up, right? So when this happens, I feel like Bill Hader isn't a huge part of this movie, but him as an actor, I think, was an integral part of bringing Nick to life. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I definitely think like it's that character of Nick is just so Bill Hader. It was perfectly cast. And honestly, I want to say the whole movie was pretty much perfectly cast. I really enjoy everyone in this. But no, I agree 100%. Bill Hader is that Nick character in this movie. And it just worked beautifully.
Yeah. So, hold on a second. So there's a little bit of an echo on your side. I'm just kind of sending the channel to see if we can do something about it. But I don't know if somebody's listening to the show in the background or not. But or if you're listening to it on speaker. Well, now I don't hear anything. So, anyway,
I muted my mic.
I gotcha. Okay. So while we're working on that, to me, like, Anna Kendrick is like the great choice for Noelle, because she's got this huge, she's got a great bubbly personality. She's, she's got this innocence to her. She's trying to figure out, like, what is her place in this whole role? Because Dad was Santa, Nick is the next Santa, Mom was Mrs. Santa. They've got their housekeeper, who is an elf, who is like her job to take care of everybody. She's like, what is my role in this whole thing? So she's sitting there and she's trying to figure that out. And then they find out that Nick is going to be a horrible Santa. She's like, I'll train him up. We'll get this going. And then she starts to put the pieces in place. But then she tells her brother Nick, hey, dude, maybe the best thing for you to do would be to just get away for a weekend. And so he takes that to heart, and he leaves and he goes away, and now everyone in town all of a sudden hates her. The Kringles were like the royalty. They were the Kardashians of the North Pole. Whatever you want, they walk in. Whatever you want. Oh, you want a hot chocolate? I got you a hot chocolate plus. Do you want this?
Yep.
You get you the Kringle discount. Now she's a pariah. Now, is that? I mean, let me ask you this, Wolf, because you are kind of one of Santa's helpers, right? So what I want to ask you here is that the Christmas spirit? Do you automatically turn on people at the holiday season?
Right. Like I honestly, when I saw that, I got a little choked up, because I was like, oh man. Like, no one even knows the full story, but they just turned on her so quickly. But yeah, no, I agree. Like, what? Like, the whole village. And on top of everything else, like, this is the family that's on top of, on top of everyone else kind of thing, and you're treating them like that. I was like, wow, you guys are really like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the big "what have you done for me lately" kind of a thing at the North Pole, apparently.
Right?
So if you can't, I mean, if you haven't delivered in the past 24 hours, then shame on you. But yeah, I mean, I really feel bad about that from this standpoint. Like, obviously, she didn't mean to do that. You would have thought that the spirit of Christmas, that, good tidings and all that. But they're like, nah, this is just like, it's bad all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So one of the other things about this is that, the tellings of Santa, and I wrote this down, is sometimes, like I said, he lives forever. Sometimes he is, and I guess we've never met him, so we're all trying to figure this out, right? I guess we're doing the best we can with the context clues we get from him over time, because he's really good at making, at shying away from the public eye. So, but sometimes it's a generational thing. Arthur Christmas, same thing, was like they passed the mantle on, and in that particular case, Santa hadn't passed away, but Santa just didn't want to give up the mantle. Here, you've got one where, like, he passed away, they've got to move on the mantle. You've got, Scott Calvin and the Santa Claus, where it's because he basically accidentally knocked him off the roof that he becomes Santa. So there's all these different tellings of it. So this is an interesting, again, back to the generational thing. And then sometimes he has a family and sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes the elves are small, and sometimes they're regular size. Some, like in Prep and Landing, what we just talked about, they're small, but in this one, they're just basically regular size people. Same thing with Elf. Actually, Elf, they were smaller. Withdrawn. So then you've got, sometimes they're kids, like again in the Santa Claus, they were sort of kids. They looked like kids. And then sometimes they're actually like creatures, like elves, like real, like kind of like Tolkien style elves.
The Christmas Chronicles.
Yeah, and then sometimes they're super old. Like, and again, in Prep and Landing, Lanny says that he's, been doing it for 227 years. I mean, not Lanny, Wayne. So one of those things that just gets me about this is, like, trying to figure out, like, don't you think there should be some more cohesion to Christmas movies in general, specific rules and guidelines that they need to follow? Or do you think it's fun that everybody has their own different telling?
You know what? It's such an interesting question. I've never actually thought about this question in that sense. I think of it mostly about like the North Pole.
Yeah.
Because the North Pole, they did such a good job with the world building of the North Pole in the Santa Claus 2 and extended it in the Santa Claus 3. And then Fred Claus looks pretty much like the same type of North Pole.
Yeah.
But the elves, I've actually never thought about that. And yeah, it's a little confusing now that you think about it.
Yeah, because I mean, I think one of the things as a parent is, like, you want to make sure that your kids know the right story, because it needs to be consistent, and they do kind of jump around a little bit, and then there's a lack of consistency in the storytelling from place to place. And I guess, again, that's me just being like, I want to have canon. I want to have, like, Star Wars.
Yeah.
I want it to all be canon and all fall in line and make sense. And so
And I think
Good.
I think that also comes into the whole, like, how technologically advanced is the North Pole, and how and Santa, like,
Right.
like you guys said earlier in Prep and Landing, it's very digital, very modern. But then you get to, like, these different movies, like this season, it's not on Disney Plus, but the Christmas Chronicles 2's came out, and that still has an old feel look to it, even though Santa himself is a little bit more edgy. But yeah.
No, I agree. So, and again, I just think we have so many different tellings, and I love that. I love that there are different takes on Christmas, but at the same time, I like there to be some sort of consistency in it. So, another thing that I think is kind of cute is that, Anna Kendrick, again, to kind of back up her whole, like, her very innocent, very, like, true, pure heart, she's got a lot of little catchphrases. I wrote some down, like, that's a jolly idea. I'm all earmuffs. Remember when Carol from the newspaper wanted to talk to her? I'm all earmuffs. Thank Garland. And then your stocking's half empty. Like, I love all of those little catchphrase things along the way. But then there was some, like, kind of other jokes, like the fact that she was trying to help Nick get fat for the holidays, so she brought him a 3 weeks to a Jelly Belly. Like, I mean, like, that's so fun to me, is to see all those little things. And I hope that I was talking to Patrick about this because one of the things that they talk about in Prep and Landy is like that's so tinsel and
Yes,
or
I love
totally
that.
tinsel. And I wish that I could just, without even thinking about it, just fire those off from now till January 6th.
Yep.
But anyway, so there's a lot of fun stuff with that. Like I said, it starts out with him passing away and them having to replace him, but he doesn't want to be replaced. And then he disappears, and then they put all this hate on her and her family. And then from this aspect, it's really kind of a sad story, right?
Hmm.
I mean, I guess
Yeah, I agree.
Cinderella's kind of a sad story if you think about it. The Lion King, not so happy in Act One, but it's just kind of sad. And so that up till that point, when she realizes that she's gonna have to go find Nick, it feels very sad. And you're just again, I kind of hate on all of the locals for like the way they're approaching things. But before she takes off, they decide that cousin Gabe. Now, first of all, I freaking love Billy Eichner. Billy on the Street is my favorite thing to watch over and over again. Billy Eichner is great. He was Timon in the Lion King remake. He was in the airport on New Girl. He did an episode for their Christmas special where he was like working the front desk and the reservation desk. I love Billy Eichner. He's so good. And in this role, he feels very different because he's very much a muted Billy Eichner.
Yeah.
And so he's just kind of like, but he's cousin Gabe, which I find very funny because they call each other cousin Nick, cousin Gabe. I don't think I've ever called like my cousin Gail.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what that's about. So I guess it's just to kind of identify who these people are and what their relationship is. But before he leaves, Michael Gross, who was the dad on Family Ties, is the elder elf on the council, and he has a candy cane gavel that he keeps breaking and having to eat, which is funny. But so then he decides that because it has to go to the next eldest male relative, that cousin Gabe needs to be Santa, and he's like, no, but I'm in the tech department and loving it, and that's such a Billy Eichner like line. He goes and loving it. So I just like I love that he's got kind of like a tech geek version of a Christmas shirt on because it's like a digital Christmas tree.
Yeah.
So he's going to be in charge, and then Noelle goes off to Phoenix. How does she say it? It's like Arizona. It's like something like that. She can't say Arizona.
Yes.
So she doesn't. Which is funny to me is like they know so little about the world outside of their doors. Whereas I would have thought they'd be kind of up on that kind of stuff. But she knows it's almost like this like just bound community who is like locked in time, which I guess also still makes sense because in most of the tellings in Christmas they're all wearing like old school outfits. So
it went very like traditional Christmas movie very quickly to those live action cartoon, I don't know what the real world is kind of thing. It happened just real quick.
Yeah, and it's very much like Buddy the Elf in the movie Elf. At this point it becomes a fish out of water thing. So it's like this awkwardness about her not knowing how to act in the real world, just like Buddy did not know how to act. He didn't know that you couldn't just give hugs, you couldn't push all the buttons on the elevator, you couldn't, so she's unclear about what the rules are. By the way, DZ Studios in chat said no drugging and no dragging kids to their beds. I mean, just a little something we got stuck on in Prep and Landing. Apparently they don't do that here in Noelle. We got Wolf here. We got to keep it PG. That's the way we got to do it. Yeah. Now Maria, that'd be another story. But I mean, she's crazy. So when she's walking around, obviously she's got some there's some fish out of water things for her. One of them, which comes actually a little bit later, is that Jake, who is the private detective that she goes to try and get help to find her brother, played by Kingsley Benadir, who is just kind of amazing in this. I think he's very quietly kind of the glue that holds it together. She goes to see him and he sees how red she is and gives her sunblock, and then she tries to eat it, and there's this whole bit about she's like, why do you like this product so much? And I try not to laugh at that because it seems like an easy joke, and at the same time it was funny the way she delivered it. So there's a lot of that little and the yogurt pants, she decides she's so hot and she goes to the convenience store and she gets into the freezer, and the woman comes and she goes, "Ooh, I like your pants." She goes, "They're yoga pants." She goes, "Yogurt pants?" Yoga pants, yogurt pants. I mean, it was. And then that becomes a thing. One of the things I find interesting, though, is that like the place where the reindeer land at the mall is the Desert Ridge Marketplace, and it is a real place. I Googled it. It is actually a real place, and as they show kind of a pan away from this thing, you can see that there's a California Pizza Kitchen. There is a California Pizza Kitchen at the Desert Ridge Marketplace. So if you ever head out that way.
There we go.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a fun little thing. She lands. She's trying to find her brother. They leave the reindeer there at the mall, and it's really kind of more of like an outdoor mall, outlet mall. And they leave the reindeer there, and she goes to find her brother, and then again meets up with Jake. So we talked about some of the cast here. Bill Hader is great in this, and anything he does. I mean, from Barry to Saturday Night Live to everything he does, he's just so good. Billy Eichner again was so good as Cousin Gabe. Anna Kendrick, perfect role for this. Ron Funches. I'm a freaking huge Ron Funches fan, and the fact that he was like the head of the little glee club with the elves.
Yes.
And they roast people constantly. Like the dialogue that is so subtle, like about that. Using Christmas carols to like tell bad stories about Nick and falling off the roof again. It was so good.
It was so good.
And then Shirley MacLaine, just a legend, plays Polly, like the helper elf. Like she's kind of the family, like almost like a nanny. And then, like I said, Jake Kingsley is Kingsley Benadier. Now, one of the things that I wanted to bring up is just that almost passed me by was why is it that it's Jake and Jesse? Like why did that have to happen? His ex-wife's name is Jessie. Like Jake and Jesse, why was that a thing? I don't know. I always feel like things are on purpose, right? Like why two J's? That's kind of weird. And I don't know. Apparently they didn't get together. Also, so meanwhile, back at the North Pole, and again, you talked offline. You talked to me about how you saw like this could have played as Santa Claus 4 at some point. Something very similar to Santa Claus 2 is the idea of how do you determine whether a kid is naughty or nice?
Yeah.
And so when Gabe goes to do that, how does he do that?
He does it with the whole like computer, or like it's just such a weird way of doing it.
Yeah, but just like Santa Claus 2, where he makes a mock-up of himself or a toy of himself to oversee Christmas. When you look at it in very black and white terms, and they do this in a bunch of, like they do in Futurama. I don't know if you've ever seen the Santa Claus version of Futurama, where Santa has been programmed, he's a robot to be Santa, and just sees things very black and white. So if you've been naughty at all, you're on the naughty list, and then he gets to a point where he just starts killing people. Totally different kind of a story. This one, not this movie. Not this movie. This is for everyone. But for this one, he's run an algorithm with a computer program he calls like Fa La La. Is that right?
Yeah.
So with Fa La La, he's used an algorithm to figure out that they're the naughty kids and how many are nice. And again, and I mentioned this in Prep and Landing, the number is very specific, and they talk about it a lot. 2,837 nice children. He's run this algorithm. He's checked it twice. There are 2,837 nice children. Why that number? Like, why specifically that number? I don't get it.
Yeah.
So when he's figuring out, again, very much like Santa Claus 2, where that Santa Claus has decided that the kids are not worthy of gifts because they're all bad, and they talk about like the things he's run in this algorithm are things like, have you flossed, and have you did you talk back to your parents, and all this other stuff. And so when he goes to communicate this to the children, he sends them all an email from Santa. Because he's now Santa, and so he sends them all an email. And so then there's a part where once she has found Nick, she tries to convince him that he can be Santa. And she brings him to the mall and sits him down, and all these little kids want to do is come up and complain about it's about like the psychotic comments that we get on WDWNT.com. It's like everybody's just coming up and they're like, what are you doing? Like, what is this about?
No.
And so when they come in and they're like, the kids are upset with him about it, he's like, I didn't write that. That's not me.
One kid that does that, I think it was the first kid, he just he like takes out his phone, he shows it, and then he starts like crying. And I was like, oh no, what did he do? Gabe has messed everything up.
And there's another weird thing. In the Santa Claus, Scott Calvin morphs into our image of Santa, right? Which is the long beard, he's chubby, the gray hair. In this one, Gabe is starting to get the gray hair, but it looks like a wig. It almost looks like a George Washington wig.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
I thought he was just trying to look the part. I never actually thought that it was kind of like the Santa Claus that he's morphing into it. I thought he was just like, well, I got to do this. This is how I'm going to do it,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Which is funny. Yeah, it's a horrible wig.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it does clearly look like a wig. And I was just like, what are you even doing? In Arthur Christmas, and again, I hate to mention non-Disney Christmas IP, but in that story, they're trying to give a new look on Santa. Like the next son has decided Santa's going to look a little more cool and debonair, and so they do. It does morph from one place to another as to how Santa's going to look. Even a little bit in the Santa Claus, they were doing that because they were trying to do upgrades and things. So, the wig thing is just very strange that because I thought he was maybe morphing into him, but then again, it looked like a wig and almost looked like he had a wig and he had like white painted like right on the outside of the wig.
Yeah.
And then he gets kind of like more serious and he's heading the council and he's really kind of getting into this like very like kind of like a what's the word I'm looking for? Dictator sort of a role as Santa.
Yeah.
He wants to send send everything with drones. And quite honestly, when you think about 2020, a lot of the stuff he said sort of makes sense.
Sort of, yeah.
Like
It kind of does.
I mean, and we talk about it as Disney Park fans. It's like, no, we don't want projections. We want practical effects. Or as movie fans, we don't want everything to be green screen. We want practical effects and stunts. And so it's like we like the old school version of he's going to deliver everything in a sleigh with actual reindeer instead of us being given gifts from Amazon drones or to them to shop it out. But it would make a lot of sense. In 2020 to make it so you don't have a strange man coming into your house. Is he wearing a mask? We don't know. Is he keeping 6 feet away? I don't know. Is he going to clean sanitize the area after he's been there? I don't know. So I mean, it does kind of make sense to have it delivered by a drone. You put your wish list on Amazon. Then maybe Amazon needs to take over the whole Santa thing. I don't know.
Oh, I will say, with Cousin Gabe. At the beginning, really not wanting to take the role. Like you said, he was like, I'm in tech and I'm loving it. Like he actually did a decent job for the Santa that he would have become. He did a pretty decent job. Like he really got into the role, which surprised me.
Yeah, no, and I think he took it on unwillingly, but he did take it on and then took it very seriously about what he was doing. So, meanwhile, you've got Noelle is back in Phoenix, and she's trying to get Nick. She found him at a yoga studio. There's a lot of weirdness in the yoga studio. I love the fact that she gets really angry and she wants to do something, and she blows out the candle. He goes, "That's a big deal here. Like you don't know what you've done. That's a big deal." And so she's just so angry that he won't come back. He's found his he's found his vibe. He likes being in yoga. He likes the heat. I mean, there was a lot of the stuff they talked about earlier. Like he's like, I'm claustrophobic. I don't want to go down the chimney. I don't like how cold it is here. I want to be in the heat. There's all these little things that he was like, this is actually, I've found my happy place here. And so he doesn't want to leave. And she's like, you have to come back. And at this point again, I think we've all started to see signs that Noelle has that twinkle, that kringle twinkle, where she met a little girl in a homeless shelter. She doesn't understand why there are homeless people, because why doesn't everybody take care of everybody? And that, this little girl who is deaf, she knows sign language instantly and can talk back and forth to her. And the little girl is wants a job for her mom, but then of course also wants an iPad. That's the big running joke in this entire thing is that all any kid wants for Christmas is an iPad, which is not untrue. It is not untrue. So it's really funny to me. Like like, again, going back to like the old school versus the versus like the digital, is like,
Yeah.
kids seem to want, like, give me an Apple iTunes gift card or a Steam card or, a Humble Bundle or something like that, and not like a physical toy anymore. It's like, hey, how about a
Right.
Slinky? How about a yo-yo? How about, how old do I sound saying yo-yo, right? So, I mean, it's like all those like traditional toys seem to be kind of drifting away, and everybody wants an iPad. And I guess Santa
Yeah.
makes a lot of iPads up at the North Pole. I
You
guess
have to.
that's, yeah. You gotta keep the inventory up. So the little girl, she's speaking to her in sign language. Jake needs to use a phone. She's like, well, just ask somebody, and she says, ask that guy because he's nice, and then he was nice,
Yeah.
and so like she's got that crinkle twinkle, and like so we all see, well, duh, you should be the next Santa. Like we all see that,
Right.
and so
Yeah.
Nick doesn't see it, she doesn't see it, and so she's like decided that the key to saving Christmas is getting Nick back to the North Pole.
I don't know if she doesn't see it in herself. Like it's such a weird thing. I think it was more of it's a generational thing, and it's always been males in the Kringle family, and it's been embedded into her head, kind of thing that no, like you can't be Santa. And actually, in the beginning of the movie, it was established that Nick was going to be Santa, and then, oh, Noelle, like, you're really good at making Christmas cards and, like, keeping everyone's Christmas spirit up. But being Santa isn't your job. Like, that's never going to be your job. Your job is just to, like, make people happy kind of thing. So, I don't know. Like, I feel like she did kind of, and she understood all the different aspects of what makes a good Santa, and that's why she was like the perfect person to kind of like help her brother find those aspects in him. But yeah, it's such a fun thing to see the movie, and like in the beginning when she just points, when she kind of just like looks around and goes, ask that one, he's nice, and it's just like just out of nowhere, just like looks around and she just knows.
Right. I'm a little lost as to why the chat is talking about Chubby. Did I miss something? Do one of us have Chubby behind us or something like that? Is Chubby?
Was Chubby in the movie? I know there was a Mickey plush in the movie and a Pinocchio marionette, but
There was also a
I don't know about
Mickey
Chubby.
when he's coming back home in the very beginning, when Santa is coming down the chimney and it's at Noelle's house and you don't know yet that that's her dad. He's
Yeah.
sneaking down the chimney. When he's coming down the fireplace grate, there's a hidden Mickey at the top of the fireplace grate, which I just
okay.
noticed in this retelling about it. So yeah, we're talking about Noelle. If you've just joined us, so when in this one, there are some of those little hidden things, and it was made again specifically for Disney Plus. It is one of the launch titles. There's this moment with her at the beginning where she's she's kind of doing this like Snow White call outside the window, and you like feel like kind of like enchanted, where she's like calling the animals, and yet it's just Snowball, who's like the youngest reindeer. No mention of Rudolph in this one. What's up with that? So you've got the traditional 8, and then you've got Snowball, but no Rudolph.
Yeah.
What's the deal?
I don't.
I mean,
and
you're pretty
no
close.
spoilers for like future Deep in the Plus episodes, but we're gonna talk about we're gonna dive deeper into the Santa Claus.
Yep.
And that film series, and yeah, Santa Claus 4 could have had Rudolph.
I'm very excited about that. So we definitely need to get that on the calendar to talk about the Santa Claus series, because I do want to hear your Santa Claus 4 theories. So hold off on that one, because I definitely want to do that, because that's going to be cool. So the music in this one it's good music. It's traditional holiday music. There's a lot of just like remakes of songs by an artist named Lawrence. I don't know her. Do you?
No, same.
Yeah,
I listen to country music, so.
Oh, okay. So if it was Brett Young, you would know. Got it.
I would know.
In case you didn't know. See what I did there? So when there's this artist, like a lot of times they'll introduce their own artists in Disney, and they'll like try to prop up like whoever the flavor of the month is, whether it's Sabrina Carpenter, Sophia Carson, those kind of things. So Lawrence is one I hadn't heard of, but it sounded very sort of like maybe Ariana Grande-ish. And
Uh-huh.
so it was really neat that the songs that were there. So I thought the music was good, and it could definitely be a soundtrack that maybe I would add to my collection
Yeah.
at some point down the road. But I mean, the music was really good. So anyway, so back to the whole story thing. We've got Noelle is trying to get Nick to come back to the North Pole. He doesn't want to. He hates the whole idea of what's happening here. So they're having this argument at the Desert Ridge Marketplace in front of the kids, and the other Santa that was supposed to be there comes up, which is really weird because there really is only one Santa. He comes up and he gets into a fight with them, and she attacks, or basically accidentally attacks a police officer and is thrown in jail.
Yeah.
And then she is no longer following Aunt Polly's rules, and she is telling them that she is from the North Pole and she is there to help her brother get back to the North Pole. And so everyone at this point thinks she's crazy, which again happens in so many movies. Back to Miracle on 34th Street, where they thought Chris was
Yeah.
was clinically insane and he doesn't understand why people don't believe. And so it's that thread has been around for a long time, and you kind of feel like you want to yell at the screen, like, don't tell them, they will think you're
Right.
crazy. And yet, because
Yeah.
she has so pure of heart, she feels like she has to tell them things. So she gets thrown in jail. Nick goes to get her and is trying to bargain with the guy, bargain with the police officer about trying to hook him up with stuff. A little awkward. So then she is being seen for evaluation, and meanwhile back at the North Pole, they've all given up at this point because even though Gabe had these plans, it doesn't seem like they're going to really execute them because there's 2,837 nice kids, so why bother? And then she gets thrown into this psych evaluation, and of course Aunt Polly then goes to Jake and says, Jake, you got to help us out here. And then there's the whole kind of conversation about just because you can't see it doesn't mean you shouldn't believe. So we get to the point about hey, have faith and believe, which I think is kind of usually the root of all holiday specials, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
In some way, shape,
Yeah,
or form.
definitely.
One of the problems that I usually have with a lot of holiday specials is they start at the point of disbelief, and then it's like they have to come back and create belief before the end of the movie, which again, as a parent, just frustrated me to no end. There's so many things where there's always the kid who doesn't believe, and he's the loudest voice, and everybody makes fun of the kid who does believe, and it's just very frustrating because again, I feel like holiday movies should be should be just like they should be happy all the time, and maybe that's a kind of an old concept, but I do feel that about Prep and Landing. I feel that for most of this one, there is most of the time where she does get away, and again, it started out sad because of her dad passing, but there is a lot of it where she gets away with kind of trying to cover up the whole fact that she's from the North Pole, although she has some issues when she's calling out to the shopkeeper that the little mailboxes that are there say Santa Claus instead of Santa Claus.
Yeah.
She's like, you're not gonna be able to sell these, you got to send them back.
Yeah.
So I mean, when this is happening and she's falling out of just into the whole thing about look, just listen to me, I got to get back to the North Pole with my brother, we have to save Christmas. They think she's crazy. Polly goes to kind of give that speech to Jake, and then he's kind of learned along the way that maybe there is something special about Noelle, so he uses his detective influences to get in good with one of the police officers there and get a couple minutes with Noelle, and says something that I think is very kind of poignant. She says, so you believe now? And he says, I believe that you believe.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was it's not, so he's saying I believe that you believe this with your heart, that you're not making this up, and that you're probably not crazy, but that you actually believe that this is what's happening, right? So then, of course, you have to have that moment where the guy who didn't believe and maybe was starting to believe now gets to see something that makes him believe without question, right?
Yep.
And so you have that moment in Elf where James Caan is standing there singing, but he's really lip syncing, and he finally starts singing, and then Santa's sleigh flies over him, and it's like, okay, now I believe, and you can, because he believes, the Clausometer goes full tilt, and everything's happy.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of sort of stinks that you have to see it to believe it, and that's what changes the tide on it, but that's what happens here. So They go
Yeah.
in and they float at the top of this like hospital to pick her up, and so Aunt Polly and the reindeer and Nick are outside, and he sees them floating, and it's like, well, you better get in your sleigh. I mean, he doesn't seem like freaked out by it. He's like,
Yeah.
he's kind of taken back, but he doesn't seem freaked out by it. Although then the doctor comes in, who was kind of giving her the observation and checking her out, and sees it, and she faints. So that's, I would have thought, the appropriate response.
Yeah.
So they get in the sleigh and they head back to the North Pole. But it's not wrapped up at that point, is it?
No, I thought this was going to be it kind of thing. I honestly did. I'm very happy that it wasn't, because it could have been like a good, ending of like, oh, Nick, yay, he's Santa. But that's not how it ended, and I'm glad.
Yeah. By the way, the chat is having their own chat at this point, talking about which one of Tom's button-downs is the most iconic. So make sure, if you're not in the chat, that you go and weigh in on that. Yeah. So there's definitely a lot to choose from. So make sure to go back through all the news tonight's, pick your favorite. Maybe we need to do some sort of like a, like that could be the 64 for next year's March Madness. And then maybe whatever shirt wins is the only one that Tom can wear moving forward.
Oh my god!
So they're back at the North Pole, and they get in there, and they find everybody just laying in the main great room. I don't know what's happened. It's like, we kind of joked about in Prep and Landing about them drugging the kid. Like, maybe they all got gassed, and it's like, they're all laying in there. I don't know, like, anything could have happened, but they're all in there. They're depressed. They're sad. Nick walks in, and they're like, okay, Christmas is saved. Santa's here. He goes up and gives a big speech and says, the perfect Santa's in this room, and it's not me, and it's Noelle. And everybody's like, gasp, a woman. Although as they pan across, some of the women are kind of giving this whole, like, why not? What's up? Why can't this be? Why can't she be a woman? So it's this whole, like, it's all led to this moment where we're like, okay, we kind of all saw it from the beginning. We've spent the entire movie seeing that she was the best choice for Santa. But even in some of these movies, it doesn't always end up that that's the right solution. Like, it's usually an adjacent solution. And again, referencing Arthur Christmas, he doesn't become Santa, even though he was a better Santa. It becomes sort of a team Santa sort of a situation. And this one, we're still not, I'm still not sure at this point whether she's going to be, Santa. You haven't convinced me that they're all going to, buy into this. And her big concern is, like, will children see me as Santa? Like, her biggest fear is, I'm going to get there and somebody's going to go, you're not Santa.
Yep.
So when, which again, I'm sure that you're used to that. You show up somewhere and they're like, hey, you're not Maria. And then they're like, oh, oof. What you get is what you get, right? So then they go back in and they have this, they get her in her suit. She makes a big speech, and then they get her in her suit, and she walks out, and it doesn't fit her yet. And they make this like a callback to something early on when Nick gets his first Santa hat that says, "It'll fit you when you're ready for it." And so she's like in this big suit. It's too big. She's like, this is awkward. Then she puts, she decides before she leaves to put Snowball at the front, like circa like Rudolph, like where Rudolph would be.
Yeah, kind of thing.
And like, if you're Dasher and Dancer, aren't you a little bit insulted by this?
Which I really enjoyed the fact that the reindeers, as soon as Snowball was kind of like going up to the front, they were like, nah, we ain't doing this.
Right. And then
I really enjoyed that.
There's this point, there's something that they do, and they do this in Prep and Landing once, but they do it here all the time, whereas where they're getting ready to take off, they bang their antlers together down the row, which I think is kind of cool looking. But in this telling of it, she doesn't do the entire spread, the on Dasher, on Dancer, on Prancer, on Vixen, and so when they do it, she's just supposed to say on Dasher, and the Dasher leaves. But in this particular case, now that Snowball is there, she says on Snowball, and then Snowball takes the reins and gets going. So it's kind of cool, to see. And the reindeer do play a little bit of a role in this one, not as much as they do in Prep and Landing. But in this one, there is a little bit of personality to them when they're at the shopping mall eating everybody's food, and when they're kind of like they're putting their noses up at Snowball. So they all get in and they leave. They hit the air and they go. And she's still trying to figure things out, and she has some like rough landings, and she's, she gets in there and she trips some alarms, and this little boy finds her, and rather than buying into that she's Santa, he sicks the dog on her. So there's a lot of these things that we've seen in other tellings, of Santa where it doesn't go quite smoothly. Even the same thing in the Santa Claus. So when she gets to the end of her run, she is still kind of shook. She is still not buying into herself as Santa, and she goes back to the homeless shelter, which you kind of, again, you saw this coming. They've laid the groundwork for this.
Mm-hmm.
She goes back to see the little girl. She wakes up everybody in the shelter. She goes back to see the little girl, and she says to the little girl, like, hey, Merry Christmas. And she's like, Merry Christmas, Santa. And then you get the feels. Like, that's the Disney moment in this for me, is you get the feels, right? Did you?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Because of the fact that, like you said, we knew that she was going to be Santa kind of thing. But she did struggle with the whole thing of, can I be Santa? And then you have this little girl say that, and then she kind of does a double take, and she asks the little girl, she's like, Santa? And she's like, yeah. And it was just like, oh, yeah, okay, good.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's, to me, like, the Disney family movies, that's the thing, is when you get that Disney moment. And to me, this is that Disney moment where, like, this is the payoff. So you've been working for all this, and maybe that's something that, down in, like, some sort of like a Deep in the Plus panel discussion, we'll talk about, like, what is that moment in each movie and each show. But you get that moment right there where you're like, you get the goosebumps, and you're like, oh my gosh. So this is her moment where she becomes Santa. She starts to walk away, and the suit all of a sudden fits her.
Just like shrinks into her. Yeah,
exactly. Which is, she's got that fit. And it's like, it's all working out for her now, and she is Santa. I expected maybe by the end for her to have like some gray hair or something like that, but she's, it's a little bit of a different vibe for her as she goes off, and then she decides to go back and then hit the houses where she may have screwed up before and go back. So now she's Santa, and everything is happy, and that's pretty much the end of the movie, right?
Yeah, pretty, like, it wraps up really well, and I like, my gosh, I like it.
So let me ask you this then. All right, so just to put a bow on this, so after everything we've talked about with this movie, and again, we kind of blew through it. It's about, I think it's almost an hour 45. So it's not a short movie. It's a good sized movie. There's a lot of time to develop the characters, the story, to really kind of make a universe and a world here. Before I ask you what you think about this, because you've got that mindset already with Santa Claus, do you think there will be and or should be a sequel to this?
So here's the thing with having a sequel to this movie. I don't see where they can go. They kind of like you said, they've mixed a bunch of things that are typically in a Christmas movie, typically in one of these like Santa Claus movies. They mixed them all into one. You have the whole fish out of water thing. You have the whole am I good enough to be Santa? You have someone else taking the mantle of Santa and just doing something completely wrong with what you should do with that mantle. So it's very difficult. I don't think I would want to see a sequel to it.
Yeah. Okay. So before we wrap up and get like your final take on this, I do want to remind everybody that what we're here for today is this part of the 65-hour marathon to raise money for the Cast Pantry. So if you don't know about the Cast Pantry, if you don't know about the cause, please make sure to visit pantry.wdwnt.com. It's been a tough year all around for all of us. It's been a very tough year for a lot of the cast members that are the people who make the magic for us. And we just wanted to make sure to give back to them today. So if you haven't donated, please donate. There are other opportunities. There's going to be an auction tomorrow. We had some Cast Pantry shirts at carouselproducts.com that sold out in 7 hours, and so we thank you guys for that.
Yeah.
And we'll make another opportunity like that available to you down the road so that we can give back to this great cause. But again, everybody who has donated so far, thank you so much. We really appreciate this. This is a cause that is near and dear to our hearts. Usually at this time of year, we're thinking about kids and toys, and those, and those are like kind of where our sights are set. And now there are bigger problems, in the world, and for some people who mean a lot to us. So again, please give if you can. Cast Pantry. Pantry.wdwnt.com, and again, we've got a 65-hour marathon going on, and next is a really cool show, Geekly Kingdom, with my boy Eric Wolf here. So I'm sure that they are just like chomping at the bit to get started. We had a little bit of technical difficulties going on, so we appreciate anybody who is sticking with us along the way. But I just wanted to also say, just thank you guys for everything that you've done so far, and please continue to give. So that said,
Definitely.
Eric Wolf, would you recommend this movie?
I definitely would. If you guys like Christmas movies, if you guys like feel-good Christmas movies, this is a no-brainer. It's not, don't expect it to be like a Hallmark, romantic Christmas movie or anything like that. It's a family movie. It's going to be good to watch with little ones. And yeah, no, I really, really enjoyed it. And it's one of those things like I said earlier, I was able to see this in theaters. And even knowing that it was a Disney Plus movie, I still really, really enjoyed watching it in theaters. And you can't say that a lot about, straight to streaming movies. This is actually one that's really, really well done. The cast is great. The plot, you guys, we went through the plot with you guys here, but there's a lot of detail. There's a lot of small detail that they did in this movie that I really, really enjoy. So yes, definitely.
Yeah. And same with me. I mean, to me, this is one that is going to become a holiday classic for us in our family, and we're going to be, probably watching this one every year from now on. And there are a lot of new offerings out there, but this is a really exciting one. So, Eric, thanks for watching this with me. Thanks for reviewing this one with me. Good luck with Geekly Kingdom. I see Jilly walking around in the back there. So, thank you so much. Thanks for everything you do, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you for letting me be on.
Yep. Have a good show, man. So that's about it. That's about it for me. For now, we're going to be back tonight at 9 o'clock with Park Center. So we hope you guys will join us then, and just stick with us. We've got a lot of great programming. Again, Geekly Kingdom's up next, and I'm going to give it back to Kevin in the studio whenever he's ready to take it. So thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Have a great holiday. We'll talk to you soon.